Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/malicious compliance. In today's episode, boss insists equipment go to a mechanic to save costs, ends up costing him $1,000 more. I didn't give you the right amount of pork? Let me correct that. HR didn't want to have an awkward conversation with a couple of people, so we all get extra days off. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Boss insists equipment go to a mechanic to save costs, ends up costing him $1,000 more. The context: I'm a new supervisor in property maintenance, and the riding lawnmower we have has often broken down. A lot of these problems are from years of not doing preventative maintenance on it, which is something I've started doing recently in order to have the machine working better, for longer, and cutting down on downtime and mechanics costs. I've been spending almost all my free time researching this mower, so I know what's wrong when something is wrong, and will be able to tell the difference between a 30-minute, $40 repair I can do, or a 3-day, $600 repair the mechanic needs to do. A few weeks ago, while I was in the middle of starting a maintenance log on the mower, my boss sees me and asks, "Is that thing broken down again?" To which I reply, "No, I'm just trying to make sure that it doesn't break down again." This is when he lets me know that he thinks what I'm doing is a waste of time and money, because our biggest expense is labor. So he no longer wants me to work on the mower, and instead wants me to take it to the mechanic across the city that charges $110 per h for labor. The next week, of course, the mower breaks down again. I tell my boss that I think the problem is likely the air filter, and he just tells me to take it to the mechanic. Me and my whole crew spend 45 minutes driving across the city to the mechanic, drop off the mower, and sure enough, they had to replace the air filter, and it took them an entire day. They also told me that they'd looked the whole thing over and found no other issues, and charged us a few $100s. 2 days after getting the mower back from the mechanic, and it began having issues again. I knew it wasn't the air filter, but the fuel filter looked extremely dirty. Once again, I told my boss, and he told me take it to the mechanic. Back we go. I tell the mechanics that the fuel filter looks bad, and describe the issues I'm having. They say it's probably the fuel pump module, so they replace that, and don't touch the fuel filters. This is another 3 hours of labor they charge us, plus parts, and the problem still isn't fixed. We get the mower back from them, and once again, it breaks down on someone's front lawn. I call the mechanic, he acts confused, then asks us to bring it back for them to work on it more. This time, they keep it for 3 days. I told them something was wrong with the fuel filter, and they insisted it must be the fuel pump, and took the whole fuel system apart just for them to agree with me that the problem was the fuel filter. Essentially, because my boss insisted that whenever there is a problem with the riding mower, we take it to the mechanic even if I can fix it, it cost us nearly a full week of lost work plus over $1,000 in mechanics costs, when I could have had it back up and running within 2 hours and for under $100. I didn't give you the right amount of pork? Let me correct that. Quick story, but it was absolutely hilarious. I work at a U.S. Western popular counter-serve, laid-back Mexican place. It's most popular in Utah, but has locations in the surrounding states. It's like a Subway for Mexican food. We serve burritos, tacos, enchiladas, salads, quesadillas, and more, all with customizable ingredients. At this place, we have very organized and guideline-set portioning. The meat is the most portioned, with there being regular checks that the guest is not being given too much or too little. So, we get really busy at times. This happened last night, and it was really crazy. I was working at the front of the line, where the guest selects entree, tortilla, rice, beans, and meat. One guest, a larger woman, comes in, and immediately starts complaining how long the line is. Loudly. We are getting through guests as fast as we can, but it is quite slow, because it is incredibly busy, and we keep running out of our more popular meats, because they have to be grilled and cooked. Karen gets to the front, and absolutely starts laying into me about how long the line is. I try to keep the interaction moving in order to keep the line moving, so I take her order. She orders a pork salad. Now, I don't care all that much for the portioning, so I give a little extra if I can get away with it, so I do this for her. That's not enough meat. Karen snaps. Oh, I'm sorry, would you like extra meat? That will cost just a bit extra. I reply. No, I just want regular, but you are being F***king stingy. That's not 4 ounces. I know the owner of this place, I know exactly how much it should be. It is accurate according to our portion standards. I say. We go back and forth for a minute, but I've had enough. She says. Just get me the correct amount of damn pork. Okay then, I will. I get a scale, and she watches me put the pork in, and it reads 5.9 ounces. I then scoop out some into the trash until it reads exactly 4 ounces. There you go. I say. The exact amount of pork. She doesn't even bother finishing her order, she doesn't even ask for the manager. She just flips me off, says F***CKU and storms out. Not the most dramatic story, but it was damn funny. HR didn't want to have an awkward conversation with a couple of people, so we all get extra days off. The company I worked for had a quite old-fashioned attitude to the workplace. The workforce was divided into boiler suits and suits, or workshops and office. They regarded office as educated, professional and honest, and workshop as stupid, half-assed, and petty thieves. This was not a view I agreed with. I had come from a company where everyone from janitor to general manager were treated the same and could have an input. If something went wrong in design or manufacturing, it was often the guy working the machine or fitted the parts who spotted it and came up with the correction. In my new place, the office would not accept input from workshop unless they really had to. Workshop had to clock and account for every minute, whereas office were on the honor system. We were trusted to input our own hours, and we usually just entered our 8 hours per day despite usually working more, sometimes a lot more, because we were professional in our work ethic. In my old place everyone clocked, it was no big deal, but suggesting that it happened here was like suggesting that office workers were untrustworthy. Then there was Bob. Bob turned up about 8:30 and left about 3:30, and somehow still managed TP log 8 hours per day. We had a half-hour lunch break. We could extend it, but had to log it and work the time back. He took long lunches of about an hour or so. He was also a heavy smoker, and about 3 to 4 times an hour Bob would pop outside for a smoke. Everyone knew about Bob, including HR. We knew that Bob was on a shaky peg for a while because his working hours were getting shorter and shorter while still being charged at 8 hours. Something had to give. HR had an easy job: have a word with Bob and get him to work the hours he claimed, put him on an RA, remedial action plan, or else fire him for misaccounting hours. Instead, HR decided to instigate a new policy that everyone on site would clock and would have to account for their hours on site. At no point did HR actually talk to anyone in the office, they just seemed to come up with this plan based on what they think went on. Engineering were generally happy with this, although a few did grumble about honor and trust. HR just shrugged their shoulders and shifted the blame onto the European Working Time Directive and said that it was the new normal, nothing we can do, honest. You don't bullsh** T engineers, because we like rules, and sure enough some of the engineering team researched it and found out that HR were just using EU law to railroad through a new process. We did need to record worked hours, but nowhere did it say we had to use an electronic clocking system to do it. The old system fulfilled the requirement of the law just fine. The new clocking machines were fitted in every entrance to the office block. We were all given swipe cards and training on using the new system. We could have pointed it out to HR, and indeed some people tried, but the decision had already been made, and they pushed ahead with it. We all knew what was coming, and we continued on as normal, waiting for the end of the month. At the end of the month, the project billing controllers went nuts. While one or two people were genuinely stealing time from the company, the rest of us were underaccounting for our time. Engineering were on a flexible working day. As long as we did core hours and did our 8 hours, then we were okay. Anything over 8 hours was banked and at the end of the month was either paid as overtime or flexi time. I nominally started at 7 a.m., but I was usually in by 6:40, and we worked to the job so I could leave at 3:30, but it was often closer to 4. Most of us were the same, but we usually just rounded to an 8-hour day. Suddenly the projects lost 3 to 4 hours of free overtime per person per week. With an office of around 300 people, that is a hit load of time, and that had to be paid as OT or banked as flexi as per our contract. One or two managers suggested that we just adjust our time to the previous hours, but falsifying clocking hours was gross misconduct and a sackable offense, so they went back in their box pretty quickly. HR told it to log our time accurately, and so we did. HR refused to back down because EU law, which we knew that this was rubbish, and so the productivity figures went down, in some cases by over 10%, costs went up as we had to be credited with all the extra time, and so we all got at least a flexi day per month that we never had before. Thanks HR. All you needed to do was to have a word with Smokey Bob, and his like, and all would be well, but because you wanted to avoid an awkward conversation, we all get extra holidays. Woohoo! If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.